Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you my 5 best tips for tomorrow's racing. Before we get stuck into those tips, just a couple of things I want to go through with you. First of all, I've uploaded this evening my eye catchers of the week. That's a brand new series I launched on my YouTube channel recently, where I'm going to be giving you my horses to put in the tracker. Got quite a lot of national hunt horses that impressed me over the last few days, and there's definitely some that I think are going to be worth following this season. So if you haven't seen it already, I'll leave a link in the description box below, and if you want to go watch it, just go and click the link. So that's all I've got to say about that. Also as well, I just want to quickly reflect on how our selections have performed today. I'm currently recording this video at around 6:45, which means we've still got one tip to go. That's King Robert in the 8 o'clock at Wolverhampton, so fingers crossed he can go well for us this evening. Away from that though, it has been a disappointing day, as my only tip that actually even ran today was Norbano for Kevin Stott and Neil King. In the end, Nordano, he tried to make it all, but just in the end lacked the fitness in the closing stages, and he probably did need the run. However, if you actually looked at him beforehand, he actually did look really well in the paddock, and he did look really fit and ready to go, but maybe the lack of a run just told in the closing stages. I saw one or two people say, oh, like, why did he go for the front four? But that's the way he runs, and that's the way we've seen him go and put his best efforts in his career. That's the way he likes to get on with things. When he was held up before, he wasn't so effective. So going up there and trying to dictate the pace, really, we saw, especially last season, brought out the best in him, especially over hurdles. So maybe he's just one of these horses that's not going to transpire on the flat for him, and he's more of a jumper by nature. Well, he obviously is more of a jumper, but he'll be seen to more effect over hurdles than he ever will on the flat. So yeah, disappointing there from Nordano. The other selections were non-runners. Stratford got abandoned because of the waterlogged track, and also as well our nap of the day unfortunately wasn't able to run because he was a non-runner. So yeah, not so many tips today, but fingers crossed King Robert can do it for us in the 8 o'clock at Wolverhampton. But enough of that, let's get stuck into the tips for tomorrow's racing. And we're going to be looking at plenty of horses that want to handle a bit of dig in the ground tomorrow. And we go to Catterick with our first selection with our long shot in the 130 with a horse called Halwa Azyan for Paddy Mathers and Richard Fahey. You can currently back this horse at 10-1, and I'm going to recommend an each way selection here. Now this horse hasn't got too much next to its name in the form book. However, if you look at its most recent effort when it finished in 5th place at Haydock, that was a lot more like it and was a bit unlucky that day. Now this horse so far, from what we've seen of this filly, she has been a bit keen in the early parts of her races, but she did settle a lot better in that race at Haydock, and she was travelling quite nicely, but in the end she got hampered when she was just about to make her challenge. She wouldn't have won the race, but she would have possibly been fighting it out for the places. You know, she could have still maybe finished in around about 3rd or 4th place, but she was a bit unlucky that day, and she would have definitely got closer to the leaders. But I think going into a nursery company tomorrow will suit, and I think that race at Haydock as well was quite a strong race. And going into a nursery tomorrow for mark of 64, I think she has some flexibility off that. Furthermore, another reason why I would like to back her tomorrow is the fact that her sire is Dandy Man, and now a lot of Dandy Man's progeny relish cut in the ground, and it's going to be really testing conditions tomorrow. So I think going on softer surface will really suit. Furthermore as well, she's got a good draw on stall 11 tomorrow, or at least I think it's a good draw, because if you've actually been watching the racing at Catterick this season, they've had quite a few meetings of late when it's been testing ground, and you've want to have been towards that rail, the near side rail that you see at the camera. You see plenty of horses come in towards that when they enter the straight, and obviously at Catterick it's down the straight tomorrow on the sprint course over 5 furlongs. And I just think if this horse can get in a good position tomorrow under Paddy Mathers, we might just see a little bit of a transformation, especially with the ground being key to her possibly improving. And I just think at 10-1 in here, she's a bit of a price, and there's quite a few in here that I'm a bit concerned about the ground with them tomorrow, despite them maybe having stronger form claims. But I think this horse tomorrow can be there or thereabouts, and I'll be disappointed if she doesn't take a step forward. So for me, this horse is going to be my long shot tomorrow, and I'm expecting a good run for our money. We then go to Leicester for the 145 with one of my extra tips tomorrow, with a horse called Wise Glory for Andrea Zaney and Simon and Ed Crisford. Simon and Ed Crisford have been in blistering form the last couple of weeks. They're operating around about 53% strike rate. They had a nice winner in France at the weekend. The name escapes me now, that horse, but they had a really nice winner that bolted up. I think it was in the valuable sales race there, but like I said, they've been in good form. This horse, Wise Glory, has been going not too badly this season, is a course winner, won earlier in the year over 10 furlongs, and also as well is a winner on soft ground when winning at Newmarket. After that performance, the horse went to Ascot when it ran in a race there to finish in a third place finish behind Chandos, who boosted that form by winning the Lavazza Stakes, which is a really hot handicap for improving 3-year-old middle distance horses. So there was a lot to like about that performance. Then went to the Melrose over 1 6 miles. And probably A, didn't stay the trip, and B, it was probably a too competitive race for it. However, if you actually look at the race as a whole, the Melrose, it was a very strangely run race. They were all scattered out like the laundry, and a lot of the horses that have actually run in that, or a few anyway, especially towards the back end. I know Favourite Moon's a winner. There's been a couple of others as well. If you look at the race as a whole, there's been quite a few winners come out of it. So I think you can forgive pretty much any horse that ran in that Melrose. And Wise Glory, I think tomorrow in this field brings the best form to it. And even though this horse is 9-4, I think that's good value. And we know it can handle conditions. The yard are in good form, and I just think there's a lot of ticks in the boxes for this horse tomorrow. So that's going to be my extra tip there. Wise Glory in the 145 at Leicester. We then go with the Nap, which runs in the 240 at Lingfield with a horse called Taravara. Now this is my Nap tomorrow. You can currently back it 2-1 for Kieran O'Neill and John Gosden. Now if you go back and watch the race replay when it finished in 7th place at Doncaster, it ran a really nice race, I thought, on debut, and would definitely have learned a lot from that. Now it was quite slowly away, and if you actually watch the race, was making a nice move and was travelling really strongly. However, the horses that went away from it just had a little bit more of a turn of gear, and I do think that race at Doncaster was a really nice 2-year-old race, and I think we'll see a few winners from that. It was won by a really nice Sir Michael Stout horse in the colours of Sheikh Hamdan Altman Tomb, and I just think it looked like the kind of effort where the horse is going to take a massive step forward next time. Now, going to the all-weather tomorrow, I think this horse will definitely be suited by it. If you look at the pedigree, it's got a nice pedigree, and especially on the dam side as well. It's actually this horse is actually the son of an all-weather winner over this kind of trip, so that's going to suit it. Also as well, it's by the Gurkha, which is an interesting sire. You might remember he won the Sussex Stakes a few years ago, but then unfortunately was retired. He was trained by Aidan O'Brien, but now he is a sire, and we haven't seen too many of his progeny, but this is definitely an interesting one in the colours of the China Horse Racing Club. Now this horse tomorrow's got a good draw in stall 1, and probably the danger tomorrow is the Rafe Beckett horse, which does bring a nice level of form to the table. However, I just thought the way that this horse travelled into that race at Doncaster last time, it definitely struck to me anyway that this is going to be the time you want to be backing him. And I think a 2-1 there isn't a bad price. And if he does take a step forward from that Doncaster run tomorrow, I think he should have too much in hand for this field. So that's why he is going to be my Nap. That's Taravara in the 240 at Lingfield. We then go with our other extra tip, which runs in the 320 at Leicester there for the first division of this handicap, and we're going with a horse here called Spanish Star for Danny Muscat and Patrick Chamins. Now this horse has been knocking on the door quite a few times this season, been one of these horses that definitely has frustrated quite a few people. However, I just think tomorrow might be his turn. He loves soft ground. All his best form has come with plenty of juice in it. Finished in second place at Nottingham on his last start, and tomorrow he's going to have a really good draw as well in stall 1. Now if you've been watching the racing at Leicester this year, you'll know that it's actually not been good to be drawn towards the stand side. It's been better to be drawn on the far side, and he's got that draw tomorrow in stall 1, so he's going to be on the right part of the track. And I just think the way the race might develop tomorrow can really suit him. Plus, I think this race is slightly weaker to what he's been running in of late, and I just think there's a lot of positives in his court tomorrow. You can currently back him at 4-1, and I do think that is a fair price there. And I wouldn't actually be at all surprised if he went off favourite come post time. So I think there's a good chance that Spanish Star can finally get his head in front tomorrow, and that's why he's going to be my extra tip. We then end with our final tip of the day, which is the next best in the second division of the two handicaps. So Leicester in the 350 with a horse called Raasheeq for Stefano Cerci and Mohamed Mubarak. Now this horse, you can currently back him at 9-2, and I'm going to recommend a win-only bet here. Now this horse, like a lot of our other horses, loves a little bit of juice in the ground. Been running really well of late. Finished 4th at Haydock. He finished 4th at Yarmouth, and he actually beat Stallone, who actually put up in that race at Haydock quite comfortably last time, and suggested that he had a bit more in hand. However, looking at the weights tomorrow, Raasheeq is actually going to be even more better off at the weights with Stallone. So Stallone I wouldn't be so keen on, even though he does have a good record on soft ground. But this horse, Raasheeq, he's now back down to his last winning mark of 68. He's been keeping better company of late. He's been running in slightly higher graded races, and he's been probably a little bit too high in the weights. But with Stefano Cerci, a really promising apprentice jockey, comes from Italy, associated with the Body stables, has been getting quite a few chances I've noticed elsewhere. Been having a couple of winners. He's definitely a name I think you want to be keeping on side. And I just think, again, with this horse tomorrow being drawn in stall 3, which is over towards the right part of the track, there's just so many things in this horse's favour tomorrow. And at 9-2, I think that's a very backable price. So they're going to be the 5 best tips for tomorrow. I'll quickly just run through them. In the 130, we go with Halwa, Azyan at 10-1 each way to the Longshot. In the 145 at Leicester, we go with Wise Glory at 9-4, win only bet. We then go in the 240 at Lingfield with the nap with Taravara, 2-1. And we then go to Leicester with the extra tip in the 320, Spanish Star, 4-1 win only. And then the 350 at Leicester, we go with Raasheeq, and that's the 9-2 win only bet. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button for more videos on my YouTube channel. Furthermore, if you're liking these videos, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Really appreciate all the support you give me. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a bit more about myself, check out my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly, and we'll be seeing you soon.